Welcome back to the Global Business Report here on Arise News. Going to be having a conversation on open banking, what it means, regulation, impact on Nigeria, the future of this essential service, the APIs, and how, of course, they're going to be playing that role. We have Mr. Uzoma Dozie, who, of course, is the founder, CEO of Sparkle. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. It's good to see you again. Please have a seat. Now, for those that don't know, I mean, everybody should know the CBN has a whole regulatory sandbox around this, just for the purpose of, I guess, just to enlighten people. So you're a player in the space, digital banking, using fintech to enhance banking experience for your customers at Sparkle. What is open banking?
So open banking is actually unlocking, putting power back into the hands of the customers. Yeah. So today, for example, you bank in a particular bank, and you've been banking there for 20 years. Yeah. All that information is locked there. And so if you go to another bank today, and they will tell you, okay, if you want to borrow money, you need 6 months of transactions. Right. Or go and bring your statements from the other bank, which of course is fraught with potential abuse. And so open banking now puts the power back in the customer. So on his phone, he can give his other bank permission to actually send his information in a very secure, open and standard way. Okay. So, okay. So basically, it's really decentralizing, right? And decentralizing information. Yeah. And so if you say information is power in the hands of people, now sharing is power. Because what's happening now is that you can now unlock this information and take better decisions on people. Okay. Yeah.
What about the whole API thing, the whole application programming interfaces? I guess that's how, if you just transfer funds to me, or you transfer funds to somebody else, and you can share the receipt on WhatsApp. Is the APIs on WhatsApp and the bank APIs that work together? Are they the key for this, for open banking?
It is actually. So API is the way of how computers talk to each other. Yeah. Right. So so call it a pipe. Right. And so it's a pipe. And so a better analogy is that if you go to a restaurant today, the API is the waiter. Right. Because you don't walk into the kitchen and yes, exactly. So the waiter, and he gives you a menu. So the menu and the waiter are the standards of what you're going to eat. Yeah. Imagine if you went to the kitchen. If there were no APIs, if there was no waiter, you go to the kitchen, you order your food, how do you want it? Another customer comes. So the API is just a standard that says this is how we're going to engage. Now today there are APIs with banks, but the APIs are not standard. So you have an API with Bank A and Bank B, another API with Bank B and Bank C. Just like when your phones had different chargers, and so you had to carry your charger around. Today, all you have to do is just carry a Type-C charger, and you know that you can charge your phone, you can charge your laptop, and so that's what open banking is actually doing. It is coming up with a standard that helps people move information around in a safe and secure manner, so that other people can use it to do things for their clients. Right. Yeah, and there are many examples for
okay, perfect. Look, if you're banking, the API can allow a third party to not get my transactions. Okay, but what about the safety? What about the privacy, right? I think maybe, I can lump the both of them
safety
together.
And privacy is actually what makes open banking a necessity for us to deepen financial inclusion in Nigeria. I think we've done well so far, but for us to actually really unlock that potential, trust is the biggest issue. So trust and standards, and also data privacy. So what open banking is doing is taking those three, is actually building trust into the system. Trust that the information is clean and the way it's supposed to be. Trust that this data, the standards are in line with data privacy laws of Nigeria. So it is only the customer that can give permission to move his data, right? And a classic example of that is your BVN and your NIN. Right. You have to give permission for your BVN or NIN to be used by a third party, and it can only be used once. And if it's to be used again for something else, you have to get permission, and it's through the mobile phone. So trust and standard, and of course there's a certain standard that you must comply with before you're actually part of that ecosystem. So that it takes care of all that. So another simple example is today, when you send your statements or email it out to a third party, you don't know who's seeing it. You don't know whose table it is on or whose laptop is on. But with open banking, I want my information from this date to this date. It's on your phone, and it goes to the person the system, not even the person, that is actually going to use it to take a decision. And so that's why it will enhance and it will scale commerce in Nigeria, because once there's trust, right, it opens up great opportunities.
From the regulatory side, what's been your assessment? CBN put out regulatory sandbox around open banking and so on and so forth. How do you think the regulators are treating this?
I mean, like, when you consider that from a framework perspective, we're the first in the continent, nobody else has done. The infrastructure is practically ready. The registry and even the standards and the consent. What is missing is the go live, where they are falling behind. So we were supposed to deploy go live in 2025. It is now in their new PSV, payment service vision of 2028, as a key part of it. So you can argue that sometimes it is better to delay and deploy perfectly, especially when you are coming up with a new way, a new payment way that requires trust and confidence in the system. But we are eagerly waiting, and the fact that the central bank governor in his last communication talked about open banking and it being central in the trust and the deepening of financial inclusion.
Do the banks have any, since it's the bank accounts from which all this information will be gleaned, the transactions and so on, for these third parties to now offer these additional services, do the banks have anything to worry about from a competition?
I think the banks to worry are the ones who are going to be laggards, who are not going to take it seriously, because in fact they are the ones that are sitting on a treasure trove of data. And so they can do much more with it. But it opens up, it redefines the playing field. So now I don't have to, as long as I'm a trusted brand, I don't have to wait months to take decisions on whether to do X, Y, or Z for a customer. And let's take lending. And then when you now put AI on top of it, so it means I can glean 20 years of data in a fraction of a second, and I can also take
You're talking about the AI impact, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so if the traditional, so like for traditional banks, I think the opportunity, the cost of lending, for example, let's use that, the cost of lending to a large client or a small client is the same. Right. And so the incentive is not there. But now with open banking, it means that it means that if this fintech, let's call it fintech or digital bank, is providing me with lending services and much more, why is my deposit in this traditional bank? And so suddenly now there's an incentive for them to actually look at their strategy.
So what's next? Is it adoption? How do you see this picking up steam going forward?
Adoption. So from an adoption perspective, it's going live, but I think education is very, very important.
Right.
So we're having this conversation here of trying to demystify what open banking is.
Yeah.
Open banking is really, really, I now own my data. I can give it to somebody else and they can take a decision. And so now you can actually open up Nigeria, because the only way that you're going to increase debt to the number of lending is by using data to make to using data. But if it's locked in certain silos, it's going to be difficult, and it's also going to be continuously expensive. The more information that I have, the lower the risk, the lower the cost of lending, the more that you can do. Okay.
Well, we appreciate you coming on to educate viewers about this, and I guess we'll have future conversations and see how it grows from there. Uzoma Dozie, founder, CEO of Sparkle. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.